Welcome to Pop Culture Problems, where we talk about everything pop culture, whether it be movies, TV, comic books, anything under the sun. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Oderman. I'm here with the Doctor of Desire, the Governor of Gumption, and the Senator of Sensationalism, Mr. Josh Nichols.
You know, I love how the introductions of each other are always more glamorous than ours. We're like, I'm lowly little Josh Nichols, and here is the master of the universe, John Oderman.
I felt like I was like a WWF announcer there.
Well,
announcing you as you walked in.
You know, I wanted to wear a cape to tonight's recording, but I didn't.
I pictured you as the Ultimate Warrior on the ropes there, getting powered up.
You know, I don't want to. We haven't even gotten into the topic, but wrestling. It is masterful how these people can coordinate. It's like a dance of the arena.
Absolutely, yeah.
But those ropes, like every time I watch them, they're so cartoony to me. Like even though I know it takes a lot to time and coordinate and bounce off them, I hear Looney Tunes in my head like doink doink doink.
What are you talking about? It's almost as if you think wrestling isn't real.
I would never suggest
that's going to make me very angry, Josh.
How angry would you get? What are you going to internet rage at me?
Yeah, I actually think we have reached peak rage in our culture, and it's no more obvious anywhere else than the internet. I mean, you look at the comments on any article, on anything, any page on the internet, we're at peak rage, peak hate, whatever you want to call it. People just can't have a decent conversation anymore.
Or maybe it's just your perception because you were so loathed.
That's possible?
Is it just because all the? I only hear great things from fans. All I hear is positive.
Well, but that's because you've hired me to filter your comments.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. I have people for that.
Yes.
I question whether or not this. You have internet rage and you have real real life rage, and I wonder if it's the chicken and the egg scenario. So have we always had this rage, and now that we have the internet and the immediacy and the anonymity of it, has it become easier to expose that rage, or has the internet and the anonymity and that immediacy crossed back over into the real world where we feel that we're anonymous in real life, almost that we can say what we want without repercussion?
I think it's the second one, because I don't remember. Like, I don't.
What was the second one again?
The second one was like that the internet has leached into the real world.
Yeah.
And the thing about the internet is that there's that plausible deniability, where I didn't say that. I left my account logged in, and somebody posted that on my behalf. It wasn't me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think people aren't always able to like differentiate between like their online persona now and their offline persona, because we've meshed the two together so much with social media, where you're posting stuff online about your regular life all the time, like on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. The real world and the virtual world are I think the same thing now for a lot of people.
I'm going to equate this here, and this is maybe apples to oranges, but I think you'll get my point. Is in the past we've identified diseases or things, and it might even be as simple as a gluten allergy or ADHD or something like that, where I think it becomes there are people that legitimately suffer from those ailments, but I think it becomes like almost this trend of sorts. But we don't. Those diseases existed a lot of times before, but we hadn't identified them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wonder if that's similar. And I hope it's not similar. I've seen so many videos of late of people raging at, like, they'll be at a fast food restaurant and something doesn't go right, and they will just belittle the person behind the counter, and somebody catches it on camera. And I wonder, did that disease of no human decency exist before, and we're now just capturing it on camera? Or is it that internet seeping back into real life where we think I speak my mind however I want, I can tweet something whenever I feel like it? And are they now living that in real life?
I think that's exactly it, because I think there used to be like societal norms. There used to be things that you didn't say in polite society, but I think there have been so many internet trolls that have become such big like internet celebrities that everybody's looking to be that next troll that reaches that next height, you know? PewDiePie. I mean,
Okay.
he's a guy that like has made probably millions of dollars by just being a jerk, you know?
Is he really a jerk? See, I haven't gotten that.
Not really a jerk, but like just kind of like over the top, like, you know, you wouldn't say that in polite company.
I gotcha. Yeah, he just kind of, it's like, and I think that maybe in his instance, you know, he does video record things, but he's probably in a studio alone. It's all, like, I feel a little bit more protected here. Like when we're talking on a recording, I don't feel as though people are listening, because, you know, who's out there is actually listening to this and they're going to take what I say and they're going to think they're going to judge me by it. And it kind of gives you a sense of...
I am. When I listen back to this, I'm going to judge you completely.
Well, you do that all the time.
Yes.
But I kind of get a sense of anonymity even when I'm talking now, versus if I was in a restaurant in public, or versus if I was in church, or versus if I was in front of my mom. Like, I mean, you adjust how you talk. And I'm sitting here with a friend or a sworn enemy, and we're bantering back and forth, and I might say things and let it slip. But I think that we're being decent humans. I don't think we've crossed the line. I mean, I rarely slap you anymore.
No, I would agree that you've really kind of tempered that the physical aggression. It's more of like a emotional, spiritual abuse now.
Really?
Yes.
People are going to think I'm such a jerk.
But, you know, I think when I say that we're at like peak rage, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the guy who plays Eugene on The Walking Dead has quit Twitter because he received death threats.
Wow.
And it's not just
it's the mullet, isn't it?
It's not because he's like a bad person. It's because the character that he plays on a television show did some things that these fans didn't like. And so they want to kill the actor because the character did things. See, that's where it's almost like a mental illness that's out there, where people cannot separate like the digital virtual world from the real world anymore.
Yeah.
And you hear this over and over again from these celebrities. Like, you know, Chris Pratt is welcome to his opinion on things, but you say one thing and the Twitterverse perceives it the wrong way, and they try to crucify this person digitally. And it's like, you know, when did it get to the point where somebody couldn't when did we stop being able to agree respectfully with people or disagree respectfully with people?
You know, and I feel myself not anywhere close to that extent, but I'll give you a couple examples of where I felt. We're talking specifically about actors, actresses, and kind of associating things with them. Kelly Loca Mochaccino, the one from Big Bang Theory.
Kaylee
Cucamonga. I don't know. It's just the name I don't want to pronounce.
Yeah.
But you know, I was reading an article this maybe last year, and it was like, well, she wants to start a family and she wants to leave the show, and so the show is probably going to end. And I was like, you selfish so-and-so. I'm going to start haberdashery, the Foozer, Gib face. You know, we're going to use these 1800 Victorian terms. You gent. I was like, you floozy. How dare you end the show that I find humorous with your real life starting of a family.
Yes, yeah.
You know, like, I mean, and I kind of, in my gut, I was like, well, that's selfish. But I'm like, well, this person has the right to quit a job, and you know,
but if you look at it from her perspective, it's probably like one of the least selfish things she's ever done, because she's doing it for her family.
Exactly.
You know? It's like, so I can spend more time with my kids.
Well, and shame on the public for you know, liking her character, because I could live without her. I'd rather have the other people, but people would just not watch
the show without Penny.
But they don't want to. Again, and I just think that's bad. But that's one example. Another one, I'm in love with the show Better Call Saul. Love Better Call Saul. Just love it. And the brother on the show, he has ailment and quote fingers where he's allergic to electronic devices, batteries, anything that produces any sort of a charge or anything like that. And he's a great actor. Because I love to hate him. Like and I can compartmentalize in that situation where I'm like, I don't hate the actor. I like the actor, but I hate the character.
See, and that's the thing, like, where this guy who plays Eugene, what you should be like praising him for playing the character in such a way that you hate him as much as you do.
If you have when you have no emotion about a character, that's when they should be fired. If you hate them or love them, they are compelling you to have an emotion.
Yes.
That means that they're doing
that's what art's all about.
Absolutely.
That's what being a thespian is all about.
Now, the difference is Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yes. Yeah, the LaBeouf.
Oh, now, is it... See, I say LaBeouf. Is he...
No, I just say the LaBeouf because I like saying it like LaBeouf.
That sounds too fancy, and I don't want to give him credit.
Do you think that like if we talked about him enough on the show, we could actually get him on the show?
I don't think he's doing anything else.
I think we might. We could maybe just send him this podcast and be like, hey, you want to be on we can do a Shia LaBeouf special.
I jest about him. Again, I don't hate anyone, and like when I joke about him, I don't care for his movies. Sometimes his acting isn't up on par. He does some weird stuff, but so does everybody, and I can't imagine being in those shoes. But so getting back, we segue a lot, John.
Yes, we do.
We're talking about internet rage, and again, kind of rage in real life versus rage on the internet. Here's something where this is kind of a hybrid. So have you heard of swatting?
Yes.
That for me is just the height of insanity.
That's crossing the line. That's crossing about 10 lines at one time.
For those of you who don't know what that is, so swatting is when someone is, they're live streaming, and typically it's video games. I guess it could be other things, but they're live streaming. Someone looks up their information. They get their IP address, they find out where they live, they get their phone number, etc. And they call in the police, giving them some outlandish story about a bomb threat or about murder. And a SWAT team bursts into their house on the live stream, in a lot of cases pins them to the ground, guns pulled, and just a really nasty situation for a prank.
See, like, I guess if I'm in that situation, I'm the SWAT guy. I kick down that door and it's a guy just sitting there. I mean, like, are you going to take him out? I mean,
Well, I mean, I guess,
or take him down.
I mean, I guess in the heat of the moment, where is the line? And that's where I struggle sometimes with law enforcement. And I know they get a lot of guff, and I know a lot of people.
There's been a lot of rage in law enforcement, I think undue. But,
absolutely, yeah. And I mean, here's the thing: there's bad eggs in every subset of people, and there's good eggs in almost every subset of people.
And it's usually that the vast majority, like 98, 99% of them are good. It's like the 1-2% that give them a bad name.
And so in that situation, the SWAT guy bursting in the door, when you think something bad's going down,
true.
do you go in there with the intent, err on the side of saving life? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in most of those situations, because you can usually see the entire video for the duration, the cops are apologetic, and they more are trying to understand what it is. Okay, so what is this? What do you do for a living? You play games on the internet?
Yeah.
And what is swatting? And they kind of, understand it. And I'm sure the next time they're going to be more aware of it, or maybe they ask different questions.
See, but then you get into the situation where these internet trolls, these people that are doing the swatting, are screwing with law enforcement because if you're a police officer or a SWAT member and a SWAT team member, and you've been called in on 2 or 3 of these, in the back of your mind, are you thinking, this really isn't that serious of a situation. Mm-hmm. It might be just another swatting incident. And
you know what, John? Let's say it takes them 2, maybe even 3 times to determine that. Let's just, for reasonable suspension of disbelief, say that it takes them 1 instance. They go to the first swatting. They're like, never again. If I get a phone call, whatever. Yeah. I'm not going to do this. Even that 1 time. What if something else was happening across town?
Absolutely, yeah.
Even for that
the
one
SWAT team was actually the Jokers robbing the bank, and the SWAT team isn't there. Yeah.
Multiple law enforcement officers were not doing something else, and not in any fault of their own, because they prioritized this as a bigger threat. But in bigger cities where the law enforcement are spread thin already, that's a serious thing. You could really be ending lives. Yeah. With this prank. And that's where, that's more of the prank setting, but a lot of times people do it from a rage setting. They say, they might want to be seen for the prank, but they might just not like somebody. You mentioned, John, you said that you thought PewDiePie was a jerk, so maybe you're going to swat him. That's where you say, I don't like that guy, and I'm going to do something so spiteful.
I shouldn't necessarily say that I think he's a jerk, because I think he did some cool things this last year with like the YouTube and how they were filtering videos and stuff like that. He really stood up with his. It's like 50 million followers or whatever that he has.
Oh yeah,
but he did some cool things there and like stood up to YouTube. But back to like the whole rage thing though. I mean, I spend not a lot of time, but there are some message boards, comment places that I frequent on the internet, and I can't fathom how you live your life just so angry all the time.
Oh yeah. People get mad at the most insignificant of things and you know what I think with age I have kind of softened a little bit. And there was a local eatery that I went to, and one of the individuals that worked there behind the counter was just a sourpuss. I mean, every time I went in, she was just very angry. She would never had a smile, and I made it a personal life goal to make this individual at least smirk just once. Yeah. And it was like this life goal. I said, you know what? I don't know what's going on in this person's life. They could have an illness. They could have, marital issues. They could have whatever is going on. They could have lost their job. I might be the only happy thing that enters her life. And so I made it a personal goal to smile. And by the end of her duration at that place, she ended up leaving it sometime after. But it took me months. And by the end, the time before she left, she sat down and was eating with me, talking about my family. How are you doing? Oh, hey, sweetie. See, and, that's a different course to take than that negative approach.
And the thing is I honestly think that, we talk, you see a lot of this stuff online about how when people get really passionate and fired up about something, and I'm a comic book fan, so I see a lot of like comic book comment stuff on news stories and stuff. And, the big joke is, get out of your mom's basement and go and meet some friends and stuff. And I really do think that's probably an element to all of this, where people have isolated themselves in such a way because they're spending so much time on these message boards and commenting on things on the internet that they don't really have a lot of time to have a social life outside of that, because these people on the internet have become their support group, their community, and these are the people that they know, even though that they've never possibly met them in real life, and so they interact with these people, and they interact in such a way, but they're not ostracized because they can still comment. That they think that, you know what, it's okay for me to do this online, so I'm going to do it in the real world too.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of similar to that. You almost come disillusioned with your own universe, where it's Second Life. I just watched a documentary about this, and there were several people on the documentary, but one woman met a guy online. She left her husband she had two kids with for this guy that she met digitally in Second Life. And then once they met in person, like she literally left her husband for this guy, met in person. They were good for the first week and then split because she was in love with this guy she met online in this avatar. It wasn't real. And it's similar to people who live their lives. I don't mean through your cell phones via texting, but even through your cell phones for life events. A celebrity is in town and you see them at the mall. Do you look at them with your own eyes, or do you look at it through the lens of your phone because you want to capture it? People can't even live in the moment in that way. They have to capture and immortalize the memories and stuff. And so,
and you look at social media, and I think how it's impacted our society is you're not seeing people, when we were interacting with each other one-on-one before, Facebook, social media, and things like that, we oftentimes saw our friends, going through struggles, going through tough times. And now you don't see a lot of that stuff. It's the idyllic life of everybody. I mean, it's got a filter on it, or oh, look at this great meal that I made. It doesn't matter how it tasted. No. You're not inviting me over here to eat it. You just want to show me this picture of this great meal you prepared, or this or that. And we live in a world now where we look at our friends' lives in an idyllic way, and we're not really connecting on that deeper level where we're able to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
And have that empathy of saying, you know what, what's going on? How are you doing? What are your struggles? What are your successes and things like that? I don't think we're connecting with people on that deeper level anymore. And I think that's where this rage comes from.
Well, yeah, and I also think it's, in speaking more generally, just the fact that things are digital. as an example, and I'm sure you've been in the, I'm going to speak for me, but I think you'll probably be able to relate. In an office setting, in a job setting, I can have email correspondence with somebody and it can get nasty real quick. I can give them a 30-second phone call and it can be resolved. I could walk to their office and I might spend 10 minutes there, 15 seconds resolved it, and then the rest of the time we had a chat and build a better relationship so that it never happens again.
Yeah.
So many people go from not in person, not on the phone, now it's going to be, and I'm a digital guy. I'm a digital native. I'm Gen Y, Gen X. I'm one of the gens. I'm one of those Gen.
You're
areas.
a millennial.
I'm a millennial. I'm in like the 85. It's like a weird line.
Yeah. We're like on the cusp. Yeah.
So we're cool. We got one line in each state, kind of thing, or 1 foot in each state.
Yeah, we're at like 4 corners. Yeah.
and I think that if people did more things in person, and I know it's not going to get any better on that front because I think that youth live so much via their technology, but we're hopefully with video chat and things of that nature, some of the social media systems that are more image or video or call related, I think we're going to start getting back to it. I think the pendulum is going to swing back to more personal conversations. It'll still be digital, but I think it's going to swing to that area, which I think will help. I don't know. I feel sometimes that you almost need experience to make yourself a better person. I mean, I think that's just what life is all about. And one example is road rage. Until more recently, when I started doing a little bit more traveling, I've done some road trips and things like that. I didn't ever have extreme road rage, but sometimes I'd look at somebody and be like, "Ugh," or under my breath I'd say something. And then I took some of these road trips, and I was that guy. I was the guy that took the wrong turn. I was the guy that, maybe should have gone when the light was green. Or I was the guy wondering, is this a one-way or isn't a one-way?
Yeah.
And I took an extra second and a half. And so when I got back to, my hometown, I thought, okay, well, this person that just did that was me a week and a half ago in a bigger city.
And that's what I'm talking about when you meet people where they're at.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, you don't know what's distracting that person on the road. You don't know why that person is making that comment about that on the internet. The thing is like you get into these situations where you're reading this flame war on the internet, where people are just they're not even like talking about the topic at hand anymore. It's just insult after insult and talking about how you're like a snowflake or you're a bigot or you're a racist and things like that. And you're not even talking about what the topic at hand is, and you're not trying to understand that other person's point of view. And like what you're talking about with the road rage, you know what? Maybe that person just got fired from their job, so that's why they're driving slower. Maybe they've already had a bad day. They don't need you yelling at them.
Absolutely. You don't know what that was the lady that worked at the fast food place. Like you just don't know what's going to happen. And I think to myself, like, if I had a bad day, would that be helpful or hurtful to me? And I don't want to get mushy and say, oh, we all need to go around and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Yeah, people are going to have bad days. Yeah, you're going to say some stuff. But some of the stuff, when we get to the level of swatting, when we get to the level of where people who are isolated in their own delusional worlds and are only living through the internet with a certain group of people are now being insulted to the point I worry about their physical safety. I wonder if they're going to hurt themselves. Like, we're getting to a nasty point.
And I think the nastier point is like, them hurting themselves, I don't think is as big of a concern as them hurting other people. Like this Eugene from Walking Dead. You're threatening his life. You're saying he should die because of what he did on a TV show. And that's where it's really concerning. And how do we get back to where we were, where we used to be able to have conversations and stuff? I don't think you can do it on a macro level. I think you have to do it on a micro level. You have to make up your mind that you're going to have conversations like you and I are having right now, and like we have offline, where we're talking about things that, we might disagree, but we're not like disagreeing with who that person is as a person. We're just disagreeing with their ideas.
I disagree with you so much, I've turned your mic off 10 minutes ago. I can't. Well, I see what you're saying though. Like, I mean, you have to you have to come and make that decision. You have to get to the point where you're going to make that kind of sweeping change. And I don't know where I'm not a biologist. I don't work about the anatomy or the psychology of humans. I don't know all the specific details, but tempers are so interesting to me. What sets people off? What makes people so upset and what triggers them? And I just wish people could identify their own triggers and be mindful of them.
Yeah,
because you're not going to ever fix them.
Yep.
You're not going to ever 100%. You're still going to have triggers, but if you could just know that trigger is going to happen and try to prevent the situation from escalating.
Something that's very aggravating to my wife is like when we'll be arguing about something and I'll be able to like stay calm. Doesn't that bug you when someone is like, when it's something that you're really passionate about and you're fired up?
Don't you even care at all?
Yeah, and you're just like, how can you not like care about this? How can you not be fired up? And maybe that's part of it too. Is that like these people are so passionate about something that they don't understand why everybody's not just angry. And so they act in such a way that they want you to they want that like kind of emotional response from you. So they're being jerks and that internet rage because they want you to feel the same thing that they're feeling.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up a sample here because I know you and I we both like games. Video games or board games, maybe more board games. And you and I have talked in the past about games are made to be won. I mean, that's primary. I mean, there's a set in the rules that says here's how to win the game.
Yeah,
that's what it's for. But I still have a lot of fun with games, whether I win or lose.
Yeah,
with the point and intent of trying to win. And I had an instance where I was playing Texas Hold'em with a group of friends, and there was a guy there who I knew of. I'd only met him a couple times. We weren't great friends. And I remember, he went all in on a hand, and I called him. And I didn't have anything great, but he was bluffing and had something worse. Uh-huh. And so he was out like the first hand. And we sat there the next 45 minutes playing the game. And he was like, whoa, you're such an idiot. Why, who would ever go in on a hand like that? And I'm, you're the worst poker player in the whole world. And I'm like, I have all the chips. Like, and for me,
you were bluffing.
Yeah. Like, and that's the game to me. And even though, again, you and I could play a game and we're both out for blood to win, we can still have fun. In that instance, he couldn't compartmentalize that. Like, again, it was this kind of competitive attitude. And I think in some ways that competitive attitude translates over to the internet. When you're on, Facebook or something like that, and you see somebody and they're arguing back and forth on a thread, we always talk about, you have to listen with your ears and not your mouth. You have to, you can see the people formulating the answers. When you see the responses, like 1 second ago, 3 seconds ago, like that they're typing their answer, like they're definitely not listening, and they're not, and they're more trying to win the argument because it's social. They have an audience, and I think that in some ways is where the internet becomes dangerous. You are given an audience. So if you're on a message board, it's anonymous, but you have an audience. You have people that are going to like you, that are going to comment and praise of you. Where if you're at a restaurant and you go off on somebody, you are typically going to have a negative audience. There's very few people that are going to get behind you.
But I think that's where you come into the concept of rage clicks and how people are like the more flamboyant and angry they are on the internet, the more clicks and the more hits that site gets. So it's almost like those communities want to foster that rage, because the more rage there is, the more people come back, the more refreshes you get
watching
on
the train wreck.
Yes.
Well, but it's also anonymity for the people who are liking. If you're in a restaurant and I slap the waitress or the waiter and I throw my drink and I start yelling, are you going to get up and say, yeah? Or are you going to kind of stop me or maybe say, what's with this guy?
Yeah, yeah.
On the internet, if I verbally accost somebody or something like that, you might click like because you're anonymous and you're like, yeah, she deserved it. He deserved it.
You really nailed him.
Yeah, like you as a consumer then are also anonymous with it.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, I think the anonymity is. We've blurred the lines between that anonymity on the internet and being just like a polite person in society.
John, I wish we could go back to being anonymous before we were internet fame sensations. I wish we could just go back to the simpler times.
I wish I could just calm down and not just be so rage-filled all the time.
That's what I wish.
Yeah.
John, I love talking to you.
Thank you.
It's always great having a diplomatic, level-headed discussion. Even when we disagree, we can shake hands at the ends and be friends.
People can learn things from us.
People can learn things. Well, I think that's it, John. We'll talk to everybody next time. What's the show called again?
Pop Culture Problems.
Hey, there it is. Pop Culture Problems. We'll see you next time.